Alright guys, welcome back. So I have the day off. It is pouring down rain, so I figured I'm going to come in and try to do a little bit of taxidermy. I have done it a little bit in the past. I've done some skull mounts, and I have done one shoulder mount. It actually turned out pretty good, but that's because my dad, he knows, he's been doing it a long time, so he kind of was there to help show me the ropes, make sure I didn't jack anything up. But I'll show y'all. So behind me, as you can see, there's my deer from I don't know, let's see, 2 years ago now. And then there's my big buck right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to show y'all the process, how far I am in, and what I'm gonna do, and what my future plans are, especially for this one. It is really cool being able to do your own taxidermy. It's definitely an art form, and it's difficult, and I have all the props out to anybody that does it, because it is not for the faint of heart. It is difficult to do. It's just the precision and trying to do everything, and it's painstakingly slow. So if you don't have patience, don't try to do it. But like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all some of the things I've already done, and then what I'm going to do today. So stick with me. So, as you can see, this is my 6-pointer I killed last year. It's the biggest deer I've killed with a bow. So I was jacked up when I killed him, and I was like, I gotta mount this one. This one really does mean a lot to me. So as you can see, I shouldn't say my dad likes to use the aftermarket noses. That he thinks they just look a little bit better. So essentially you just cut off this section, and you got to try to line it up, and I'm gonna have to do a little bit of work here and there to get it right, but I got it on there pretty well centered. It's not perfect, but it doesn't necessarily have to be exact. And then something else I've already done on the form, so you can see some of these black streaks. Let me go ahead and turn this. Alright, so something I've done is I've gone through all these contour lines, and I marked all the little contour lines. It just gives it a little bit more detail on the form. And I went through with a file. My dad has a small file and a Sharpie. I marked everything up, and then I kind of just added a little bit more depth to it, just so I can hopefully get that formed. This is an early season buck. I killed him October 9th, so his skin is a little bit, his hide, I should say, is a little bit thinner. So he should show some more of these contour lines than, per se, a late season buck or a deer in the rut when he's all blown up and he's got a little bit more fat and everything on him. So I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to set the eyeballs. And I've been watching a video. It's about 15 years old, but it's great information. I've been watching it for about 2 hours now. And I'll show you all what I learned and kind of the process. What I'm going to do. Alright guys, so one of the first things that I'm going to do today is try to put marks on my form so I can set the eyes when I'm ready to anyways. So in the video, he said make a spot right about in the center where you can kind of guesstimate. So that's about the center. So you might be able to see it. Daggone stuff out of the way. You might be able to see it, maybe not. Sorry about the poor lighting. So that you can see I made a dot. And then I'm going to take the speed square. It's got the level on it. It's going to be kind of difficult. Okay, so kind of line it up about where that center is. Make it level. Okay. There's that mark. And then I'm not going to be able to flip it around, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Okay. All that. So I went ahead, I've got that correct. Alright, so now I'm going to take this eyeball. I need to clean the clay off of. Did some practicing with it anyways. So the idea is to take that pupil. Let's see if it'll, there you go. So you can kind of see the pupil right there. So you want to mark right where that pupil is on the white. Right there. And right there. So there's one. I'll go ahead and do the other one real quick. So this one doesn't have clay all over it. Go ahead and you mark where the pupil's at. There. Right there. As you can see, they align with the pupil. So I know that this one goes on this side. So I'm going to be careful and try to, I don't want to drop this, because it is glass. And they're not cheap, that's for sure. So what I'll do is I'll put this in there and I'll line up those center marks. That way you can get the eye set right, the pupil. You can hear the dogs barking too. Go figure. So right there, the line's marked up. That'll keep it centered. And then what I'll do is I'll take hot glue and I'll put it around the rim. And then I'll set it on there. And that hot glue should set quick enough that I won't have to hold it for a long time. But I also will have enough leeway that I can adjust it if I don't set it quite right. So I have that section done. Now I'm going to move over here to the hide, and I'm going to also do a little bit of a test fit just so I can see what it looks like. And I'm going to try and do a final fleshing on the fleshing wheel, but I haven't necessarily used it before, so it's kind of sketchy. Alright, so I've got my hide. It's already tanned, but I got to do a few things, a little bit of cleanup. I got to cut the cartilage out of the ears because I'm going to use ear liners instead of using Bondo. There's a lot of people do the Bondo and it works, but I used the ear liners on the last one and it seems like it worked a little bit better. That's just personally what I guess I'm going to try to use more often. And I also got to do a few more little things here and there, snipping some stuff off. I'm probably going to have to sew quite a bit. I did tear the dang thing up pretty good, that's for sure. So I'll flop this over here and I'll show you all what I'm going to do. So here's my hide. I think this is going to be the best spot light wise. So as you can see, I've already got it tanned. I use Crow Tan. That's what my dad always used. So what I'm going to do, still a little stiff. I had to thaw it out. I haven't been able to mess with it in quite a while, so I froze it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this ear out. Alright, so I'm going to fold this out right here. If I can get this ear folded out. So, I actually still need to do some splitting on it, but got the X-Acto knife. As you can see, I went through. You're supposed to split these ears right down the seam. Right here. There's a seam. It's on these ears. That's supposed to split, and you pretty much put your finger in there and you can feel it go down that seam, and then before you tan it, you split that seam, so therefore the tan can get up in there. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to be using some gloves, but I'm not. So on this side of the ear, there's a cartilage right here that needs to be cut out. Therefore, that's what the ear liner replaces. So, what I saw in the video, you want to split it about down the middle, and then you want to take your knife. And you can tell you don't want to go too deep because you don't want to cut a hole inside of what you're doing, the actual ear. But you probably can't see that, but there's a little slit there, and you can for sure tell. I mean, as soon as you cut it, it splits. It should split anyways, so you should be able to tell. So you want to go through there, take this knife, go down through, folding it like this helps make it kind of taut. That way it cuts a little bit easier. Got the split all the way down. Should be able to get my finger in there. Alright, so I finally got it started. So you'll be able to pull this back. It'll be kind of easy, but also kind of firm. You'll be able to pull this cartilage right off. You know, kind of look like a pig ear. One piece. I'll have to go back through and clean some of it off, but that's what you're going to tear off, some of it. So as you can see, it didn't quite tear evenly right here. I'll just have to come back through and clean some of that up. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get a little bit more off of it. So I'll go ahead and start pulling down on this bottom half. Try to get it even. So you can see I finally got this section down. A few more little stragglers, but that won't matter. I'll go ahead and get that later. So you want to get down here, and then around this you'll see there's a bunch of cartilage, and that'll all have to come off. But you will pretty much just cut a section through the ear where the ear hole is. You'll pretty much cut that out. I'm by no means a professional, so anything that if you are an experienced taxidermist and you see something and it makes you cringe, sorry, I'm in the process of learning. We're not all professionals. Well, you don't want to do that. I'm going to fold that back out. Well, I'll have to ask for some help from my dad, I guess. Alright guys, so here we go with part 2. I should say take 2. I will go ahead and do the same thing now that I got it folded out. This cartilage get that off there. So I'm going to fold this in half, like so, and make a little incision straight across the top. So now I've got it split. There's a line right there. Now this cartilage is pulling off. I'm gonna try to be easy on it this time. Somewhat easy anyways. As easy as I can be. I don't have to pop it like that last time. I'm sure it's happened to plenty of people. Problem is I don't know exactly how to fix it. But my dad should, so one little chunk. Alright guys, so now I'm going to do test fit. Just kind of, now that I got the ears done. Seems like a little bit of the hair is slipping. It's not too awful bad. Let's see what happens. This thing looks like Swiss cheese. So here's my fit test, so to speak. So don't pay attention to the holes. I know I did this when I was skinning them the first time. I believe these two. And that one I can't remember what I did, but I got that one pretty good. But other than that, they should be not too awful bad. And there's a little bit of hair slipping right here, but nothing I can really do about it now. Other than that though, I got enough hide, so that's good. Thank God a lot of these holes that I made are actually gonna be stapled behind, and they shouldn't matter. I'm actually gonna go through, and so you can see all this extra hide that I've got hanging down. So right there shows how much I've got extra. So I can cut that off, and that'll be less that I have to flesh out. But honestly, everything lines up pretty good. Really. Sorry about the shakiness. So, go ahead and turn this down. So as you can see, where his ears are going to go, turn that pocket. Then everything should be able to pull up nice and tight to his pedicle and everything. Eyeballs where it needs to be. Like I said, don't pay attention to the holes. Should be able to sew that right up. And hopefully next time you see him on the form, he's a little bit prettier. I like how it's just something about bringing it back. When you can bring it back to life, it really does something for you. So, I'm going to go ahead and cut off a little bit of the extra hide and then go from there. I'm going to spin this around so you see that now that I've got it kind of fit about where it needs to be, everything should really come together rather easy. Not all that bad. I mean, it'll pull together. So as you can see, all this excess that I've got hanging off right here, I'm going to probably only need, I believe, 1.5 inches or 2, give or take. So I will go up in here, and you can kind of see the edge where the form is. Make some incisions. If you ever need surgery, don't ask me. It's nice, a little duller than I thought it was. I'm going to replace that blade. Just going through and just checking, making sure I'm not cutting too much off of it. I think one of the things that video I watched really emphasized was you can always cut off more. You can't put back on it. You can't put more back on it. This line straight. So you see that's already a pretty good section of hide that I cut off. So I'm going to set this on the ground. Now I'm going to flip this just a little bit. I can see a little bit better. Y'all probably can't really see the bottom section. So I'm going to pull this up around. Make sure I've got enough. Alrighty, there's another section. So I'm going to go ahead and take myself a break, and I'll be back. And I'll move on to the next thing. Alright guys, so I'm going to be installing the eyes now. So I believe on these ones, it's kind of hard to tell. Let's see if it'll focus. Anyways, so on this eyeball, there is one part that is more concave than the other. So the more gradual goes forward, more gradual part goes forward. So basically what I'm going to do, I'll zoom in on the deer a little bit for y'all. So I'm going to take this hot glue gun here, and I'm going to take this and do an outer ring about where this is going to be, and then line up my lines with the lines that I've made on the face. And I shouldn't have to hold it for very long. This hot glue tends to dry rather quick. So I gotta make sure I have that part forward. Set the eye. Make sure those line up. And the good part about hot glue is that if I need to rotate it at a later time, I can go ahead and do so. All I need to do is heat it up with a blow dryer or something of the sort. So there's that one. I'll go ahead and show y'all how I have my, you might be able to see it, but the lines are lined up well. That one seemed to go in pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one now. I feel like you can see that one a little bit better. So I'll get this. And these also have a notch on the back of them. Probably can't see that, but there's a little notch right there. That's also what goes forward, I believe. So that should match correctly with the concave being forward. So I'll go ahead and do my other. Be a little bit too much. I should be able to get rid of. Tilt that one down just a little bit more. Alright, so I got the eyes set about how I like it. They look even anyways. So I'm going to take this clay. Shouldn't be very much of it. I'm going to go ahead and work on this eyeball. Try to mold it the way that I need it. So, based on how the other guy did it, as you can see, I've already messed with this one a little bit. You got some clay just practicing. So what that guy did on the video, it looked like he took this, dropped it on the ground, and he put one piece kind of as the bottom. Look like come up in here somewhere. Then took another piece. He didn't use very much, it didn't seem like. Put it right up in here. And it doesn't really matter if I get some on the eyeball because I can always clean it off. It seemed like with his form he needed a little bit less, honestly, than what I'm using. So I'm going to need some more clay than he did. So then he took another one. You add a little bit more clay. Alright. So let me go ahead and clean some of the eyeball off there. I don't think that's all that bad. So I'll go ahead and take the tools. See what I can do. Now I'm gonna have to cut so I got a real wet. You kind of like how that looks so far. Smooth it out best I can, really. And then another thing I was doing was taking this brush, kind of getting up in there. Alright, so I feel like I have them relatively even. And I kind of evened out some of the nose as well. I put the cellophane over top of it to try to keep some of the moisture in there because that clay is known for falling off pretty bad. So now I am going to go over here and try this flushing machine and see if I can skim some of this extra junk that I've got on here, try to get it off. So stick with me. Alright guys, so here I am with the hide, and as you can see there's still some junk on it. I went through there with a knife at one point because we didn't have the fleshing machine fleshing wheel set up, so I'm gonna go ahead and go easy, real easy, because this stuff I know can cut through real quick. So I'm gonna go through real easy and just take my time and see what I can do. I'll show you all the finished product, and hopefully I don't add any more holes, but I imagine it'll probably happen. Alright guys, so here is some of the work that I did. You can see it turned out pretty good. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible either. I did not quite as much with the fleshing machine up at the face because I knew I'd tear it up, so I just did that with the scalpel. I sewed up some of the big holes. I don't know how exactly they're going to look, but I'm kind of running out of time here, so what I'm going to do is, since it's tanned, I should be able to freeze it again pretty good and not have any issues. So I'm going to go ahead and put her back together and freeze her, and then I'll have to come back another day. And I also think the hide paste is a little bad, so got a lot done. Hopefully it turns out pretty good. I'll be back to it before you know it. Thanks for watching. Gotta get going.